Eden's Living TV coming to you tonight. I hope you're doing well. Let's talk about different types of post-traumatic stress. There's complex post-traumatic stress disorder versus post-traumatic stress disorder. And a lot of people ask me, Susan, I don't understand it in post-traumatic stress. No, it's not. I went and got certified in trauma. I'm about to open a trauma spa counseling clinic. And trauma, I have lived my whole life. I have complex post-traumatic stress. So when I teach on this, it's coming from a very, very personal place. So how you can distinctly tell post-traumatic stress from complex. Complex arises after a chronic exposure of traumatic events over and over, especially during your childhood, such as chronic abuse, neglect, repeated trauma. If you grew up in an alcoholic home or a drug addict, or you were domestically abused, God forbid, sexually abused. I know from my experience growing up, I was messed with as a kid. You know, when you're molested as a child, that's a trauma. And you have to process out of the body, or you're going to have relationship problems or even maybe sexual function disorders in the future. I work with a lot of people that can't have intimacy with their partners because of trauma in their childhood. You have got to process that out of the limbic system. Chronic and complex post-traumatic stress leads to pervasive challenges, different areas of adulthood. Like I said, you can have relationship problems. You can get fired from jobs everywhere you go, things like that. Individuals often experience disruptions in their attachment relationships, especially during childhood. You get abandonment issues or you get rejected. A lot of people have, I've got rejection issues. It's from childhood. Symptoms may develop years after the traumatic experiences, and chronic complex post-traumatic stress is gaining more recognition. Even though it is not found in the DSM-5, where they, give you the medical diagnosis to be paid by insurance companies, how they file to be paid, but it is definitely a part of post-traumatic stress. Post-traumatic stress can develop after exposure to one single traumatic experience or a series of traumatic events lasting more than a month. When you have post-traumatic stress, you have to identify what triggers you, what brings you back to the flashbacks, what makes you ruminate, what gets you in fight or flight, or freeze or fawn. Symptoms are severe and focused, often triggered by specific stimuli, noise, smells, lights, yelling. Anytime you feel unsafe, something where you feel unsafe, it's like, oh, that's triggering me. Symptoms include flashbacks, nightmares, hypervigilance. I never relax in public. I can tell you that right now. I see everything. Avoidance of triggers and negative changes in mood and cognition. Post-traumatic stress can make you have mood problems and also cognitive. Associated events includes combat, accidents, traumatic loss, natural disasters. In my case, I had a car wreck. I was sexually assaulted. I've been medically kidnapped. I've had trauma with surgery, procedure, in bed 25 years, assaulted when I was young. It's trauma. Associated events include combat, as I said, any type of traumatic loss. Symptoms may appear soon after the traumatic event or be delayed. Mine was up to 3 months. I was sexually assaulted in Mississippi and didn't even remember it because I was drugged for 3 months. It was my best friend took me to a client's clinic. The guy drugged me and assaulted me on the table. So I developed severe complex post-traumatic stress from that. Post-traumatic stress is officially recognized and defined within the DSM-5. So it is recognized where complex is not. Remember, complex is where it's repeated for a chronic time, chronic exposure, and you will have difficulties in your emotional dysregulation, negative self-talk. You'll feel unworthy. You'll feel ashamed. Interpersonal conflicts, difficulties, and somatic symptoms. So I hope y'all reach out if you need help with trauma. I am opening up a clinic to work with trauma probably this summer, this June. I'm getting my final certification where I have to do some clinical work with the psychologist and with the director of the Trauma Institute, and it is instinctual trauma response that I'm getting certified in. So you can heal one bite, one thought, one prayer at a time. Eden's Living TV, all things naturopathic. Y'all have a good night.